Hi guys again. In this short video, I'd like to demonstrate how to download the Linux distribution. Um, Linux has so many distribution since it was created back in 1992 by Linus Torvald. The first distribution was by Red Hat Enterprise Edition, and they created another general distribution edition called Fedora. Fedora is uncontrolled version, and of course they have the Red Hat Enterprise that is a controlled version. Now, remember, guys, Linux is an open source software, so it is free for distribution, or it can be distributed freely. Now, keeping in mind that there are controlled versions that you have to pay um, support fee, monthly as well as yearly fee. So the one that I'm going to demonstrate today is how to download Fedora, which is from Red Hat, and the version that I want to download is the Workstation edition, because the Workstation has shows the graphical user interface. So I'm going to go to the browser. So I'm going to open a new browser here, and I will look for Fedora. So I'm going to type here Fedora. Again, Fedora is from Red Hat. Now, by the way, Red Hat was purchased like a year ago by IBM, so it's an IBM product. So I'm looking for Fedora Workstation. So I'm typing here Fedora Workstation. Now this will get me to the Fedora website. Remember, it's an organization based. It's an open source. It's non-profit basically. So this is the download Fedora Workstation. Now, of course, there are other download that you can do and perform for the server edition, but the server edition doesn't have the graphical user interface. So in my tutorials, I want to utilize the Fedora Workstation. So I'm gonna go to this link, and here it says Fedora Workstation, and the current version is 32. Okay, when I started actually teaching and using Fedora, I started like almost when it was Fedora 8 or 9. Now remember that this number changes very often, like every 6 months, 1 year probably. There's a new release. So download Fedora. It's a 32 right now. 1 year or 2 years ago, it used to be 20, 26 or 24. As this number keeps changing because this is an uncontrolled edition of the Red Hat Enterprise. And now we want to download this version here, download Fedora 32 Workstation. Now we say download. Basically, I'm looking for the ISO image. It's like, I want to have like the DVD. Now, if I decided to burn it on a DVD, I can do so, but I'm gonna I want to store it on my hard disk drive as an ISO image that I can use it for installation later on. So the one that I'm looking for is the Fedora 32. And now again, 32 doesn't mean 32-bit. Fedora 32 is the current release, and it is for x86. So it's basically for Intel based as well as AMD based, and it does support x86 actually for 32-bit machine as well as 64-bit machine. This is the one that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna start the download process. Now the size is 1.8 gigabyte. And so why do you want to do with, okay, it says here Fedora Workstation Live, and I think I will see if this is the Fedora. The live means that it's already installed as an image. So, but anyway, I will double check. I'm going to perform the installation for now, and then I will test it later on when I use it with Oracle VirtualBox and virtual machines. So again, the current release is it's Fedora 32-1.6. So this is the current release of that ISO image. So I'm going to save it, okay, and when I say I'm gonna save it, save as. I have a folder called ISOs, so I will put it on my folder of ISOs. So I have folder called ISOs, which stands for the ISO images, the ISO files. So I already have downloaded before, like a few months ago, the Fedora Workstation Live 1.6. So basically it is the same one, but anyway, I want to demonstrate the download process anyway. So I'm going to download. So I'm gonna save. Now it says here it's already exists. You want to replace it, so I'm gonna say yes. And as you notice here, the process is quite fast because I have a fast network here, and my download speed is very high. So 36% Fedora Workstation has been downloaded. Now it could take, as it says here, 2-3 minutes for this to be downloaded. So I'm going to I'm gonna watch first before. I could stop the video and see, but it looks like it's going fast. Now remember what I said about this one. This could be the ISO image related to the installed version. Okay, so basically it's not a full installation, so I will see if this is going to be the case or not. Okay, so but this is the ISO image, okay, for Fedora, and the size of the file is 1.8 gigabyte, and my download speed is very high. I'm at 52% right now. Okay, so basically we're gonna use this file to perform an installation on Oracle VirtualBox. So now this is the VirtualBox, okay, and we're gonna use this image or the ISO image to install it in the Oracle VirtualBox. So while it's downloading, in the meantime, let me go and create the virtual machine. So I'll go to the machine. So this is my Oracle VirtualBox that I have installed before and downloaded and installed. So I'm gonna create a new machine, and I'm gonna call it actually Fedora. Since this is a virtual machine, so I'll keep it VM1 underscore Fedora. Okay, or since this is Linux, actually I'll keep it Linux underscore Fedora, because I could be installing also Linux Ubuntu, different distribution, and so on. So this is going to be created on my C drive home directory. There's a directory also called VirtualBox VM, so it's going to be created there. It's a Linux. It's a Fedora 64-bit. Now again, it does support both 32 and 64 bits. So just in case, I'm going to select also 32-bit. Okay, so even though it will work with, if you selected 64-bit, it will work because the ISO image, it does support both. So I'm gonna select the 32-bit for now. Next, again, as I said before, this is the memory. allocation for this machine, virtual machine. So I like to keep it to have enough space, because I have almost 16 gigabyte in my host machine running Windows 10. So 2 gigabyte is good. It will speed up the process. Now again, as I said before in a previous video, 8 gigabyte could not be enough, so I will change it. So I'll keep the default here to create a virtual disk, but and also it says it's going to be an image file, but I will and also dynamically allocated, but I will change the size to 225 gigabyte. Doesn't mean that this is going to be allocated entirely for this virtual machine, but this is dynamically allocated, so it will use as much as it will need from this space. Okay, so now the virtual machine is ready. So basically the box, this is like a hardware box, is ready. This is like the BIOS, basic input output system, is like the hardware characteristics. Now let me see here. So the download actually was finished, as you can see from the message here. It says here Fedora Workstation Live, and it says, yeah, there's something here. It says Live Edition. So this is Fedora Live, so means that it is already installed, and this is a ready image. But anyway, I will see what is going to happen. I will associate this image to the box that I created, so I don't need to open the folder. Actually, I will open the folder just to show you that the ISO image is created. Okay, let me see, put the date. So yes, the ISO image is, this is the ISO folder that I have, and this is the image that was created today. This is the date, the current date, and it was created, so it's there. Okay, so it's it's 1.8 gigabyte disk image file. Okay, so the file is there. So let me go now and start performing the installation of Fedora on this virtual machine. So this virtual machine was created just a few minutes ago. Now I will keep the specs here. I don't need to change any of the hardware. I have 2 gigabyte. I have 2 gigabyte for the memory. I have the storage. I made it with 25 gigabytes. So the network adapter is NAT, which is network address translation. There is only one adapter. All the specs, I'll keep it as is. Now I will double click this box here. So it's like booting the machine, powering on the machine. So I want to power on the machine. So you can also start if you want, but you can double click. Now notice that what's gonna happen is that this machine is booting or starting. So when the machine is starting, that there is no operating system in there, so it's gonna go and look for the DVD. Now remember that I need to install the Fedora that I have downloaded. So in this case, you need to go and look for the ISO image. So that's why there is a yellow folder here. It says choose the virtual optical disk. So I need to choose the ISO image that I wanted. So I will click on this one, and I will go and look for. I will go and add, because I want to look for the ISO image basically. So I'm gonna add and look for this is my ISO image. It's on my E drive. So again, I go to the ISO image. So the one that I have downloaded recently is this one. This is the Fedora. So I will open it, and this is what I want to select as my disk or DVD. So I want to choose that one. Now basically it will change here. So basically I mounted, it's like you mounting your DVD to the machine, to the VM1 Linux Fedora machine. So basically this is the correct mounting here. And then you start, basically it will start the process. Now if this is a ready image or already installed image, so I'm going to expand the window. Now notice that the window is too small, okay, and it says here automatic boot is in 51 seconds. So I like to have it the entire screen, so that there is under view, when you go to the view of the virtual boxes from the virtual box and you use scaled mode and you switch to the scale mode, basically it will take the entire screen instead of taking a small screen like this. As you can see now, my virtual machine is taking the entire space. Now here, notice that the option, so let me just try to change, use, of course, you cannot use the mouse at this moment. You can use only the arrow up and down key. So now this is here in the top, says start Fedora Workstation live. So basically this is already installed live machine, so it's already ready. The other option here says test media and start Fedora Workstation live. So this is to test your the media, which is the storage. I don't need to test. So basically it's actually two options. It's basically you start something that is already installed before, that's why we call it live. 32-bit it's 32 is not the 32-bit, it's actually Fedora 32. Okay, now the other option is troubleshooting. I don't need to troubleshoot. Okay, at this moment I don't need to troubleshoot. I need to perform the installation. So but the installation at this moment doesn't give me the actual installation. It asks me to start Fedora Workstation live. So this is exactly what I want to do. I'm going to select that option. There's also says here press tab for full configuration options on menu item. So I'm gonna select the tab just to show you what you can get here. And as you can see here, this is like giving you different it's like a detail, okay, about what is each one of those option. Okay, so when you go, basically when you press on the S, it's basically it will start the live session. And so I'm going to press the S at this moment. Okay, so S, sorry, it is shift S. Okay, I had to press the escape keys because I have to go back one window, because I don't need to check the full configuration option. I just want to start. So again, you can either with the the arrow key up and down, you can, this is scrolling up and this is scrolling down. Now with the arrow key on the start but Fedora, I will select enter. So it will launch the kernel, the operating system. So basically now I'm booting the machine. As you can see here, it says running. Okay, so VM1 Linux Fedora is running and the kernel is loaded into the machine. It's x86-64, so it's both 32-bit and 64-bit edition CPU, but only detected in the i686 CPU. And it says here, unable to boot, please use the kernel appropriate to your CPU. So basically here it is because my machine is 64-bit, and when I selected this when I created this virtual machine, okay, I created it as 32-bit and it's telling me that I should use 64-bit option. So therefore this is not going to work, so I have to go and close this window. Alright, so I'm going to power off the machine. Okay, and I will go and change the specification of this machine here. Okay, where you see here the general, instead of 32-bit, I'm gonna change it to 64-bit. I will change this one from Fedora 32 to 64-bit edition, and then I will double click again, and it's already mounted. The DVD is already there, so the ISO image is already there, and this is giving me that, you know, to switch the entire scale, or to have the large. Okay, so switch to scale mode. I want to switch to scale mode, so I want, and as you can see now, this is the same thing, but this time I'm going to start. So make sure that it is on the start, so the arrow key on the start, hit enter, and let's see this time if it's gonna work. The virtual machine is running. All what I changed the characteristics of the machine. Now here, these are warning message. You just close them. You will get a bunch of them. And actually this time is working, so it says 64-bit edition. So this Fedora now 64-bit edition. It's loaded, and remember, it's a live edition, means that it is an image that has been already installed before, so it's loading. So it's gonna take us all the way to the Fedora desktop operating system, and it's loading all the different drivers and starting all the different services. Services under Linux, we call it daemons, and all these are different daemons that are being loaded. So now this is the process of loading, and as you can see here, it's VM1 Linux Fedora is running. So let's see if there is going to be any issues. And now here, as I can see that it's starting genome display manager. Oh, I think everything is working. So the image, actually, this is the built-in image, is loaded. So actually it takes us to the excellent. Okay, so this is working properly. Now it's telling you now if you want to try Fedora or install it, or basically perform the full installation. Now trying Fedora, so you can choose to try Fedora first, to test Fedora, and then later on to install Fedora, because this is actually the purpose. We want really to install, to have a full installation of Fedora in our machine. As you can see here, it says you are currently running Fedora from live media. So basically this is already live media, means that it's an image that has been already installed. As you can see, I can try it, or I can install it to the hard drive. In so installing it means that you perform a complete installation. So let's first try it. So it says here you can also choose install to hard drive from the activities. Okay, so trying it, basically this is now Linux Fedora. Now this is the desktop. Okay, this is the menu. Activity is the menu. You can see that all this is the menu. This is the graphical user interface. You can type the command here. For example, I want to go to the command line. We call it terminal, TER. You just type few characters. It will show you the application, which is a terminal. You go to the terminal, and now this is the user name, live user at localhost -live, tilde is the user home directory, and $sign is the prompt. So now if I want to type command who am I? Of course, I'm gonna be a live user. Who am I? And it's a live user. So basically, this is for testing. So this is, you haven't really performed any installation yet. You are using the ready-made image. Now, of course, you can test different commands beside who am I. You can use the ls for listing the folders, and the tilde, as I said, it is the user's home directory. Of course, we will have more discussion later on the different aspects of Linux as an operating system. But for now, I want really actually to exit the uh, the terminal, which is using the exit command, and I want really to perform the full installation of Fedora. Now, the full installation of Fedora is in the menu here. As you can see, of course, there's the Firefox, which is the default browser for Linux. It's an open source browser, and it's very powerful, very secure. There's other application files, but there is one that will allow you to install to hard disk, and this is what you need to choose. So properly, now this is what we want to do. So we're going to select this option here, install to the hard drive, and this is now it will take us to the complete full installation of Fedora version 32 on this machine. Again, it's a 64-bit operating system, not 32-bit operating system. Now, as you can see, it's preparing the machine for the installation process. Here is giving us the option install to the hard drive. So now here we are not really loading now the live edition. We are performing the full installation of the workstation, and we as you can see, the first thing that you need to do is to select the language, default to English, and the keyboard, okay, as well. So the installation process, so I want English, and specifically I would like to use the United States English. So far this is the English language, and this is the keyboard, so it's a US keyboard, and I'll select continue. Excellent. Now the keyboard already has been localized, so this is localization. We need to select the time and date, and since we are living in the Eastern time, so the American New York times is perfect zone for us. Now, as you can see, there is a warning here. It means that there are some additional installation that we need to select here. So I'll go to the system in order to look at the installation process. So here we have to select the destination, the storage, the partition that we would like to install it in. So as you can see, so far I haven't done anything except choosing the language and the keyboard. There's nothing, I'm not changing in the keyboard, I'm not changing the time. All what I need to do is to go and select the storage. Now my storage is 25 gigabyte. Now in Linux we say GI, so gigabyte. Okay, so this is how it sounds. Now remember, we created only one disk, 25 gigabyte, and this is the basically it's going to be system disk A, so it's the first disk. Now if you have another disk, it will be SDB and so on. So we have only one disk. Again, we will talk about this one later on in different videos, but we will keep this one. This is our selection. We'll select this one. This is our local drive. We don't need to add any additional disk at this moment. Okay, so we are selecting this. Okay, and Now that it's very important to remember. So I'm going really to expand the expand or maximize this window, so we can see different things. Now this is what is selected, the disk. This is the only disk we have. Okay, and we're not adding a new disk. Now the storage configuration. Now if you are expert, you will go to custom or advanced custom. So but because this is the first time that we are installing it, we'll keep it automatic configuration, so the system will choose its partitions accordingly. So I will keep it as automatic. Now you have an option of making additional space available, so basically it's reducing the partition or creating multiple partitions, but for now I will keep it as is. So I want to have one disk selected, 25 gig capacity, the whole thing is available. So I will select that, and let me just make sure that okay. So because I'm just trying, oh yeah, this is where I had to select done. Okay, so installation destination. So all what I did is I selected this drive, the disk that we have. It's automatic, and that's it. I don't want to do a custom or modification of the partition, so I want it to be the default. So when it's done, when I say done, it will go and create the different part. As you can see, checking the configuration, it will create a different. Okay, so now the partition has been made ready. Now if I go there again, just to show you, so there is this has been already allocated. Okay, and all the information has been recorded, so I don't have to do anything here. Okay, so this is, I'm just verifying this, so checking the storage again. So again, automatic partition is ready. So basically what we have done, we have selected the language, we have selected the keyboard, or the keyboard is already US English, and the time frame or the time zone is Eastern time zone. And also we selected the storage, and then we need to now to start performing the installation in the storage or the disk. So I will select begin the installation, and the installation process begins. Now it says here ext4 extended for, it stands for the file system. So Linux is using primarily extended version 4, ext4 file system. It's very powerful file system, supports huge files and storage. Okay, so again we'll have more discussion on the storage as well as the type of the file system that Linux support. By the way, Linux supports over than 40 different file systems. It does support Windows based file system like file allocation table, NTFS. It does support other file system as well that is related to Linux. Now this process is, so far it's 11%. Okay, so let me see. So the process is gonna continue like this, and I'm going to monitor the speed, and I'll get back to you if there is other activities that is needed. But so far is moving very well, 21%. And this is like full installation, is not, this is not an image that is or live image that was loaded. So we started from the live image and then we began the installation of Fedora. And it's again, the version is 32, and we are installing the 64-bit edition.